Hey guys, hopefully you guys can hear me well, see me well, and if you are in the chat, then let me know if you can hear me well and see me well. So yeah, today I'm going to make a portrait of myself. I already started, but what I would like to do is to show you guys just a little bit more of the technique that I'm going to use for the skin, for the colors of the skin, for let's cut that sound, the color of the skin, the shadow, the highlights, and all of this. Basically, I think there's if you start with the right steps, you always finish with like a better illustration. So what I'm trying to do is to show you like the steps as well. But in the meantime, please, if you are in the chat, let me know if you can hear me well, see me well, by just put that in the chat. Also, let me know where you are in the world. It's always interesting to know. I'm personally in Colombia. It is 11 a.m. for me. So yeah, let me know if all of that. And hopefully my internet is well as well. I'm not seeing any comments, so I'm just hoping that it's just because there's a little lag, but that there's no issue. And I'll start in a few minutes. So like I was saying, I already like started like this here with a sketch and a few layers. I'll take out the layers and show you what I did actually. Hi, J5in. Please let me know if you hear me well, see me well. I'm still waiting for the checkup just to make sure before I start chatting and talking nonstop. And yeah, let me know where you are in the world as well. So yeah, I have prepared this this morning before the call. Few sketch, final sketch, then the background color, and I separated all the different components of the sketch itself. This is always really useful when you just have every layers for every part of it. Really helps to after that being able to just paint into it. It's a technique that I love to use. I have a mask on the layer and everything. So yeah, so that's what I'm doing right now. Oh, there you go. We had a little lag. I'm having like a bunch of text coming in now. So Kylie, Michigan, Figgy, USA, Astro from the Philippines, and thank you for letting me know that you hear me well. Flame, hi, from Bahamas, so that's nice. Vancouver, BC, Canada's in the house. UK, Bogota. Oh well, Bogota, Lina, we're like close by. I'm actually I'm in Cajica, which is half an hour about to Bogota. All right, so if you guys can hear me well, see me well, let's jump right in. If you have any question, please put it in the chat at any time. I have the chat open in front of me. Put a capital Q in front of it. It's always easier for me to just see the questions. And since we have a little lag, yeah, this is going to help me. And hi, Jason from Montreal, hometown here. Poland, Magdalena. All right, awesome. US, Patricia. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. All right, so let's have some fun. This is an informal kind of session I want to do with you guys. So it's just like I don't have precise steps. I'm just gonna paint this and basically give you steps. If you have a question, shoot any question that you have. So like I was saying, I created just a sketch and then I separated the colors and put a mask on it just to help me. But what I would like to talk about, I think it's one thing that's really difficult for everybody is skin tones and colors in general. And so I took this as the portrait for my self-portrait. Lucky me, this is not a picture I took this year. It's actually I think it's 2 years old. But lucky me, I don't change much. I have the same haircut pretty much all the time. So I'll be able to just use that as a self-portrait for now. And the cool thing is I have a blue sky, which is like the secondary light source in this photography. And I have the sunshine in my face, which is the primary light source, or the key light. And so each of those light sources will bring some colors. So we'll talk about like the colors of the shadows and all this. And so yeah, I'm going to start. So basically what I have here is just the flat values. When I start, like a trick that I can give you if you're like new-ish to digital painting is try to start in layers and having the flat colors to start with. So I have the skin tone here all over the place, and then I have the flat color of the shirt, the beard, the flat color of it. I didn't go with the darkness. I went with the color that it's the mid-tone. So the color is in between the light, the highlights, and the shadows kind of thing. So I choose this one. A little bit less for the hair. Then I have the glasses in 3 pieces. I put some blue here because even though it is metallic here, you can see that it's clearly blue already. So I just went there and put some blue right away. But for the rest, the metal that's like in the light, it's going to be a little bit more shiny, a little bit more yellow. So I went with like a pale yellow for now. And what else do I have? I have, yeah, the lips and the teeth in there. So I have like the basic elements. All I have to do now is to add the hue changes, the saturation of the skin, and all those cool effects of the light that comes into this picture. So that's what I'm going to do. And while I'm doing this, you guys can ask me questions. Anything that I'm doing, just let me know. So yeah, I'm just gonna start this. I'm gonna start on the color of the skin. And I think for this, what I'll do is I'm just gonna use a soft round brush. So like just a soft brush that's round from Photoshop. And to get that redness here inside, so you have the red that comes into the skin as it goes into the shadow, and you're gonna have the blue that's gonna affect this, right? So you have to think about that blue goes a little bit in the skin, but there's also some shadow where the skin become a little bit more reddish, and it comes a mix together and almost comes at purple. So I think that what I'll do to make it more saturated, just that much beautiful, I'll just go ahead and find like a purple-ish, reddish. I'm just gonna use that, I think, to add like just a base tone over the skin here, even on the neck a little bit here. And this is not the shadow. This is just like the color of the skin within the shadow. I'm gonna add the shadow afterwards, kind of thing. But the idea is just to add a little bit more color to the skin tone before I add the shadow on top of it. Also have, I'll take that same color here, and I'll just put like that color here. This place, those are like the eyebrows, but you get a little bit more color. I have this, maybe I'll zoom in so you guys can see a little bit more. And I'm gonna add the highlights afterwards. So for now, it's just like kind of adding the shadow. I don't go too dark either, because I don't want to. If you go too dark, it's easier to just add layers of like colors and darkness. But as I'm building like the shadows and the color of the skin here, just taking my time, not going too dark from the beginning. Adding this and that. Here, I'll maybe later on make the distinction between the bone that's here, but for now, I'll just leave it as is. And what I'll do is I'm not going to try to do like pure realism here. I'm just going to try to have like form, like a little bit of form and depth without going too much into like hyper realistic stuff. I think just this already adds just a layer of volume to this illustration. I'll do the same thing for the shirt. Create a new layer. The shirt becomes just like a blue that's very saturated. Something like that could do, I guess. So I'm just going to look at that lighting. Here it's got the shadow. Whoops, I'll just make sure that stays on the shirt. So you have like the shadow here for sure. Something like that. And taking your time like this, just going by layers is really going to help. You have some deeper blue here. You have like the deep shadow that comes like it's like casted here by this. Just like that. And so yeah, a reminder that you guys can ask any question at any time. Kingu says, are paintings on top of the sketch or underneath? So right now I'm painting underneath, and the reason is just because I want to establish whoops, what did I do here? Okay, no, that's it. I want to establish my, sorry, doing two things at the same time, no good. I want to establish my shadows and form basically before I start erasing the lines. So I'm painting on top of it for now, but I will want to make the line disappear afterwards. So for now, it's just like the base that I'm doing. So it's basically you want to do both. You want to start just with like having like your base color kind of underneath it, and then later on I'll be able to just kind of make them disappear slowly. So just adding the shadows for now under it, having just a base of like, yeah, the basic shadows. And I'm not like, this is not like the pure shadow. Like I'm gonna have like the cast shadow added later on with like the light, the cast shadow of the glasses that comes on the side here. But for now, it's just to give me kind of a roadmap of the basic form that we have here. But yeah, if you want to make the line disappear at some point, you'll have to make them on top, make your color on top of it, kind of thing. Hi Becca, and thanks for joining. I'm happy to be live in doing this portrait. I wanted to do this last week and just participate at the same time with you guys. By the way, I don't think we announced the winners of last week challenge, but that will come today. So keep an eye in the Discord server, which, by the way, good news, guys. We've been accepted as a partner for the Discord server, which means just we'll have a better server for you guys. So lots of cool stuff happening. We'll have also other challenges coming up real soon, so keep an eye on this as well. And Kingo, you're absolutely welcome. So just I'm adding just a bit of stuff. I'm not even going like into details into like the folds and everything right now. I could add like just more like values here and there, but I'll keep that for later. For now, I just want to have like the base right now. I'm going to add just on the beard, not the hair, the beard. Sticking to the beard, I'll add that shadow E, and I want to go towards like the purple-ish again. So what I'll do is I'm just going to take like a purple blue, dark one, darker than that because it's very dark on the beard. I'm going to pick that as a color and see what that does. And yeah, I think that's pretty good. So keeping like the same kind of color scheme here, by playing with the blues and the reds, will just give me like a stronger illustration. I'm just gonna put that. I'm making sure I'm on my own layer because what I'll do is probably I'm going to like delete what I don't need afterwards. So for now, just the beard, adding just a little bit of it. Not going too dark everywhere. Like the mustache has some shadow into it, but it's not that dark. So for now, I'm just gonna add like just a little bit of it. And here, I'll use the saffron brush eraser to just soften up the transition here between the two. Like later on, I'll be able to add more details to this, but for now, I don't need to. And I'll just kind of use those values a little bit here to add like a little bit more volume to this. And this will have, I'll try to add some more details later on. I could add also like just a little bit more of that skin that goes through, just a bit more. All right, so just adding this. At this point, probably adding the shadow would start making sense. Might do that in a second. I might just go over the hair for now, create a new layer, attach to it, attach to it, and then with a saffron brush, I'll just add that purple again. New question. Jason says, oh, sorry, I missed one. I think joining Paintable Discord server was the best thing I did in the past few days. Well, I'm super happy you say that. I really want this community to be like one of the best. So this is really just the beginning, guys. I'm going to add some more stuff, some more challenges, some more rewards and all that. It's really a place for us to just chill, but also learn and have accountability and all that. Jason says, which brush are you using? I'm using right now just the basic brushes that Photoshop can give us, which is the soft round brush and the hard edge round brush. So yeah, just the basic ones. All right, I think at this point I'm gonna add just more values to the skin tone before I add the shadow, because there's always that shadow in the neck and the ear. But before that, I just want to add those colors that are missing, kind of thing. And for that, I'm going to use, I think, I'm going to use a texture brush. Created some new texture brush recently. Pretty cool. So I might just pick that up, and I'm going to move it just a little bit towards the yellow to catch that color of the sun kind of thing. And just kind of, it's going to paint with that texture brush a little bit. And the cool thing with digital medium is, like, right now I'm looking at this, I'm like, all right, this is kind of not working for me. I feel like the color is not exactly what I need. So I can do the Command U, or I guess Control U if you're on a PC, and just pop up the hue and saturation here. And I'm able to just kind of modify the color of it to just put it just a little bit lower. That was too yellow. I think this is much better from there to there. And then here's a cool trick for you guys. If you click on Alt or Option, and you press on Alt or Option and you click on the eye, it's going to open only that layer. So then you can just pick up that color and then do the same thing to open all the layers. And so I have like taking that color of that layer, because if you're trying to pick up here, it might pick up this color and the color below it. But I really wanted just that new color that I created. So by doing this and picking it up, I'm able to just do this. So I'm going to add just a little bit more of that color, I think, at a few places on the skin. Not too much, but just a bit more. So that cheekbone, for example, and that. And this is not the highlight. It's really just like adding some more colors to it. I think just that is already good. So I'm going to add that here. All right, so that's good. Flipping it just for fun. That seems fine so far. Okay, at this point, I'm questioning if I should start with the shadows. Could help, but I just want to make sure that the colors are done before, because the shadows will go over the colors. I'm going to use a multiply, for example, or like any like blending mode with transparency. So to be able to just have like the colors underneath from before you do the shadow is really going to help you, because after that you're going to add the details and everything, but just having the shadows will help. So I'm just looking here, and I think I'm going to go just with the highlights of the skin first. That's going to help. So doing this. And for that, I'm going to keep that texture brush. I really like it. I'm actually going to have like those texture brush for free for download real soon. I'm actually preparing that today. So just keep an eye once again on the communication of the group, and I'll make sure to give you guys access to those. I want to make sure I don't go too pale too fast. It's going to build, so I feel like this is good for now. Adding this right here, taking your time, making sure you're on a new layer also when you add like those kind of things, because I could decide to erase parts of it later on. And I'm playing with the size of the brush as well. You see me like putting like big and small, just because the texture of the skin is not equal. So having like different like size of the brush can help. I'm gonna start with that. I might just delete a bit here with the soft. I have the soft round brush also on my eraser, so it really helps to create those gradients more smoothly. Looking at this, and when I do usually like the highlights, that's where I start also like seeing like, all right, I could like add some more deeper reds right here, and I'm gonna keep like that same texture brush, but I'm just gonna go here and just gonna add some of it. Maybe that's too much a little bit. Let's take off a notch a bit. Just adding just a little bit more of that deeper red, that deep saturation. J5 says, when should I start adding in the details? I mean, I always start adding details when I'm just blocking out the shapes. But I mean, at the time, I don't know if so I'm adding the details usually once I have the base. So you see, I'm still painting under my lines right now, right? So I just want to have enough volume, and for that you need your shadows and your highlights. So I want to have enough volume. I want to have also enough hue, like colors shift in my skin tones. So from the deeper reds to the blues of the shadows, from the yellows of the skin tones and all of those things. I want to add those things before I start adding the details. Details come really at the end, especially right now. I'm not even painting like eyes. I'm painting glasses. But if I were to paint eyes, I would do that at the very last moment, right? So I just want to have like my base, basically. This way, you won't have to go back to fix things, you know? So you just take your time a little bit more, kind of thing. Sometimes we're like in a rush. We all want to have like the perfect illustration from the get-go, but just taking your time, zoom in, zoom out, see what you see. Like it's missing still a lot of highlights at a few places. Like the cheekbone here could have definitely some more highlights. I'm not going to go put the highlights that it's white here. I'm taking my time by adding just a little bit more of it here as well. There's a little bit more highlight there. The nose received just a bit more highlight kind of here. There's the highlight of the nose, like right here. There's a bit here as well. And there's some under the cheek here, under the glasses right there. So I'm just taking my time at this point. I could have went like just more purple, I think, for this. Maybe just a bit tiny darker. Kind of this. Yeah, that's better. Might use that same tone to just kind of add here. I'm on my new layer here, so I can add like this, for example. I just want to do the demarcation here of that bone, but I can use the soft round brush afterwards to kind of delete and make it just like a bit more soft, because it's just a bit of a transition. I don't want to have like super sharp transition. And slowly you build up. You're looking at all the places. I can now use the tones that I already created for the highlights and everything, and kind of come and paint them at certain places that needs more highlights, like the ears, for example. It's kind of here. Same thing with the deep red that I have here. I can use that now to kind of come and paint some of the deeper reds of the ear. And I'm not exactly doing like perfect anatomy here, so I'm just kind of having like an ear that a little bit cartoony, but that works. That works for now. And this part will be in the shadow in a second, so I'm just really just adding some colors here to have something behind that shadow. Yeah, and already pretty looking good. I think maybe I can add some highlight of that highlight on the neck. Making sure that I'm not passing on over the things, but yeah, I think I'm good here. Just adding some highlights on the neck. That's pretty good. And like I was saying, I'm going to add the shadow later on. Like I'm looking at the nose, I think that there's deeper reds that could come here. So just trying to pick up like something a little bit more deep, more reddish. Especially kind of here, it's like a patch of redness here. Definitely on the corner here. Adding this, and I'll be able to soften those transitions also later on when I do the detailing. So there we go. Really taking my time here. A question from Angela says, hi, how do you know when to use the soft versus the hard brush for shading, highlights, and coloring in general? So the difference is this. What you want to do is have a hard edge to describe a transition, right? So for example, like the bone that I was doing here, for example, here, right? So I was like, here's my bone. So I made a hard, seems like the quality of the stream might be down. I'm sorry if it goes down. But here, the bone it needs a hard edge here, but then I'm going to soften it up to make it like a smoother transition. Because if you look here, there's a transition, but it's a soft one. But I'm going to start with a hard transition, and then I'm going to soften it up, kind of thing. I have the wrong brush here, but where is it? Where is my, there it is. And then you can soften it up, kind of thing, and make it like softer. So that's how I like to usually do it. I'll take that out here. I usually do it. I like to place a hard edge to delimit where I need to put it, and then I soften it up afterwards. All right, so let me just continue here. And I'm sorry if the quality of the stream is going down. It might. My internet is not always the best here, so I'm hoping it's gonna last, but I guess we'll see. So I'm adding, just like, I'm being very careful of where's the shadows are here. There's all that surface scattering also. It's going to appear later on. Here it gets like darker. I could just go like with a darker tone on this corner here. And I'm going to add a rim for the glasses later on. Let me just shut that down. I'm gonna have it add like the rim for the glasses later on, but right now I don't want to do those details. I really want just to have the basic form, the basic colors, and then I can just go on top of it, kind of thing. So really taking my time here. So yeah, just keep adding, keep sending questions, guys, if you have any questions. So I could probably push it more. You're welcome, Angela. I could probably push it more, but I think at this point I'm going to start adding the cast shadow. It's going to help me to visualize where I am with the illustration. So for the cast shadow, I want to be on top of everything. So I'm just going to go on top of all my layers, and I'm going to use a multiply. And I want to use a color here. I don't want to go super close to what it is, or like perfectly what it is in terms of colors, but I would like to add some saturation and coloring. And I think that the purples are really working well here. So I'm going to try with purple, actually. I'm going to try to take like a purple that makes sense. Something that's like purple reddish. And I'm on my layer of multiply here. I'm going to use just the, I could use a texture brush. Could be fun. And just want to kind of do this. I'm going over my glasses. I don't want that. So I'm just going to put that down under the glasses, which should be here. That's better. And if it's too dark, what I'll do is, once again, I'm going to do Command U or Control U if you're on PC. I'm going to change the hue and saturation right now. I'm going to add some more pale value to it. That's kind of closer. That's perfect, good. And I'm going to make sure that to pick up the same color now. So I'm going to do the same trick, click Alt on the eye, or Control, or Option, I mean. So it's going to open just one, and then I can just pick up that color, and then I'll be able to just continue painting that shadow. Now that shadow goes beyond just the glasses here. I think it goes like here a little bit, definitely here, covers the ear, and it's in the beard as well. It's all over here. Definitely here. There's that line that's going to be very important right there to delimit the cast shadow of the face on my neck. And so this is not the technique that I'm using all the time, but it's a fun technique, because what I like about it is if you are lost into your steps, it's a very easy step-by-steps to follow. You start with your flat values, you're adding your colors and everything, and then you add a little bit more of highlights. I didn't go with the pure highlights. I'm going to add more, but it's like you're building up one step at a time, kind of thing. So I can just kind of zoom in, and I like pretty much where it's going right now. I might just use a saffron brush for a second, just because I want to add a soft shadow all over here a little bit. So I'm adding just that little bit of shadow. And then I'll go pick up my texture brush once again. Looking at maybe the back of the head, get a little bit like more dark-ish. Could be like the hair as well, that just we see like this, but I'm gonna add just a little bit like this. I'm gonna use the same color here maybe for like the hair that I have on top of the head. And yeah, this is pretty cool so far. I think the cast shadow works. There's a few more cast shadow to be like more precise. I'll be able to add like more precisely later on also when I'm over the line, but here there's like a bit of a cast shadow that goes under the glasses. Same thing here, kind of thing. It's a bit too much. Trying. There's also some subsurface scattering. Here you see like there's like some deeper reds, and that's both subsurface scattering and chromatic aberration, I think, which are two effects that that you see right now. One of them is because of the camera. The chromatic aberration is because of the camera, and the subsurface scattering is the light of the sun penetrating the skin and making it more saturated. It's a very cool effect to add to your portrait. There's the cast shadow here. I almost forgot. The cast shadow of the nose right here, which takes the bottom part as well. So there's like kind of that shape of some sort. Something like that. That's pretty good. Something like that. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, what I'll ask you guys is, how did you like the self-portrait challenge? I know there was a little bit of people were happy, people were not kind of thing. It's not everybody that likes to do self-portraits. Let me know, how did you like it? Also, let me know if you have any ideas of something that you would like to do next. I have a few of mine, but I'm more than happy to hear your suggestion, guys. So yeah, let me know that in the chat while I finish this shadow here, the basic of the shadow. And this is the cast shadow and the form shadow both at the same time that I'm putting here, kind of thing. So zooming in, zooming out, always important. So that's pretty good. I think at this point what I'll do is adding the pure highlights on everything. So I'm going to go on top of everything, and I'm just going to add some more highlights for the forehead. Should have my skin a tiny bit more shiny. Still using the texture brush. And I might just delete a little bit with the saffron brush. And transition of both, kind of thing. So yeah, getting closer. I'm not gonna do the glasses just right away, but I might do them afterwards. Jason says, some people paint in black and white first, then add colors versus some who paint color directly. What's your point of view? My point of view is that if you are new at digital painting, you should start in black and white. Because first of all, it's going to help you to understand the different blending mode to add colors. So it really helps you to just add some new tricks to your sleeve. But also painting in black and white, you just have to concentrate on two things, which is the values. Right? It's just one color. Black is not a color, but it's only values, right? Where in colors, you have the colors that you have to think about, the harmony that you have to think about, plus the values. it gets a lot more complicated. So if you start, I always try to tell my students and teach my students to start in black and white, help them to understand how to add volume and contrast to the illustration, understanding also the um, the blending modes, and then later on you can do something like that in colors. It's going to help you. Also, starting in black and white, if you're doing something from imagination, gives you the possibility to really go and try a bunch of different colors. Where if you start a concept art, a piece of concept art directly in color, you'll have more difficulties to change the color later on. So yeah, so that's my point of view on it. Um, Lena says, I haven't done mine yet, but I hope I can draw this week. Yeah, well, there's no rush. The challenge will be done, but painting is always fun, so you can go ahead and definitely take your time to do it later on. So what I'm going to do now is just adding just a little bit more highlights at a few different places, like the nose, like that little highlight here that goes on the cheek. Like I said, I'm going to do the glasses later on, so I'm trying to just kind of forget about them right now. But same thing with the teeth and maybe the lip. I could add just a little bit more color to it. There's a huge highlight on it. But the rest I won't do. I think that's good for now. Let's zoom out from this and zoom out from that. Yeah, that's working so far. All right, one thing I'm going to do now is adding some subsurface scattering to it, actually. So I'm going to go and basically you see that there's a little bit of like brighter pink in between the dark and the pale here. And that's, I guess it's both subsurface scattering and the chromatic effect, the chromatic aberration. So what I could do is just you go here and you kind of boost your colors towards something that's like reddish. There's no perfect way to do this, but just adding just a little bit more of that glowing in between the shadows. I'll do the same thing here. It's really going to add like a touch of realism, even if the color here is like way too saturated. Actually, it's too saturated. But yeah, you can, like what I was about to say is you have the possibility to just kind of add some cool colors without being completely realistic. I'm going to use a saffron brush here to make it just a little bit more pale, but you don't have to be completely realistic, and it's still going to look fun to just add that rim, or it's not a rim, but it's like, I'm looking for the word here. It's chromatic aberration. All right, I have Ria that says, I have a lot of trouble adding texture to the skin. I use the Paintable Skin Texture Brush, and I zoom in and see a lot of texture, but look. So when it comes to texture of the skin, think about this. When you look at my portrait, for example, here, the most texture that you see is the highlight. So try to do this. That's the best tip I can tell you, is use your texture brushes to add on highlights. Now there's all sorts of ways to add texture on the skin texture. If you're going for something that's a little bit more stylized or cartoony, you can add texture pretty much everywhere and you'll be fine. If you're trying to do something that just feels a little bit more natural, then usually texture will be on the highlights. It also depends on your reference pictures. Some pictures you'll have a lighting that doesn't have bright highlights. Like this is easy. I'm on the sun. My skin is like shiny because of the oil, and then it gives you a bright highlight right there. Sometimes you don't see those things. So it's also about choosing the right reference pictures. You know, if you want to see like clear distinction through your skin texture, you need the right picture. But that's my tip. I hope this is helping. Kigu says, I think a self-portrait is a good comparison point to check the progress and style changes over time. Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I agree. This is the reason why I'm trying to do it every year. I didn't do it for the past 2 years, I think, but I'm going to try to keep the pace now. It's always fun. Like I was saying at the beginning, I don't change much. I get older, but I have the same haircut. I usually have a beard, so the self-portrait are kind of the same, but the technique that I'm using can be much different with the years. You're welcome, Ria. All right, so like I was saying, so I'm adding some highlights here. I think if I zoom out, I already have a good read about it, and that's always a good thing. If you zoom out and it kind of looks crooked, then your values are probably misplaced. But I'm zooming out here, and I like what I'm seeing. I feel like the glasses are a tiny bit too big than I'm zooming out, but I'll just roll with it. That's fine as is. I think at this point, it's a good place for me to start painting over the lines. So I might just try to do this. I'm going to create a new layer on top of it. And I'm going to take the line here layer and I'm going to make them disappear just a little bit by putting down the opacity. I'm not going to make them disappear completely because they also help me to have like a distinction of some places, some occlusion shadows that helps. But putting them down just a little bit, like I'm going to go like 40%, I think, for this, will be good. So it gives me just enough to continue here. I'm going to paint it on a new layer on top of everything. And so right now what I'll start working on, it's almost more details, but before I do details, I'm going to fix like things like the nose here where I can be just a little bit more careful, I guess, by adding just a little bit more volume at some places, like here. Sometimes the slightest changes in the hue and value can really help you. Taking your time here doesn't go too fast. I'm going to use also a little bit more of that smudge tool that I really like to use to blend the value really easily. It's a smudge tool that just kind of makes the values, but I don't want to lose all that texture, so I might just use both the texture brush that I have here and yeah, and those values. Trying to mix stuff here. You see, like this is a great example of like I lost here the nostril. It was pure black because of the line. So I'm going to take just like a darker value here, and I might just come here and redraw the nostril because this is important. Need it to breathe. But what I mean, it's important on the portrait because it really just gives some focus to the nose. All those occlusion shadows are the darkest shadows. They really help you focus on your portrait. Usually you have a lot around your eyes. In this case, I got glasses, but also the nose. It will really help to just kind of read the nose. And I'm kind of correcting the value here. Like I feel like that shadow was just too dark here. So I'm adding the values of that nose. And so you see, this is almost I would consider it like detailing what I'm doing here. I'm also like playing with the contrast right here. I'm adding just a little bit more of a darker shadow into my beard to just have a contrast of the nose here. So, you know, just adding those little things, bring back the contrast. Trying to be careful of what you're seeing is always a good thing. Like I'm seeing a little bit of a highlight on the nose here, so I can just take that value here and just add a bit of a highlight just right there. Will also help to read the volume. I'm going to repaint also the nostril on the other side a little bit more. So something darker here. And I'm seeing some subsurface scattering happening here on the nostril. You see it's getting like a little bit more pink, a little bit more saturated. So yeah, I'm going to take that saturated color that I have here and see if it works here. I think it does. Might have that. And just kind of come here. I have a line here of my sketch and I want to make it disappear, but I'm going to use first just a value or a color to just keep my shapes. Adding this, I'm going to adding the contrast here by adding this value here. And so just like this, you're adding slowly some more form to it. When you're painting from reference, I think the biggest mistakes that I'm seeing is just a lack of taking your time. And it's a mistake that I do all the time. We go too fast. We don't observe correctly. Zooming in, zooming out can help as well. Yeah, I think adding stuff comes afterward. Um, J5 says, I have a hard time using texture brushes. I just can't help but create smooth gradients out of the colors. By the way, most my name has Jason. Oh, I see. Sorry, Jason. So yeah. I'm going to go to the form. I like the highlights and forehead and hue and saturation change. So when it comes to texture brush, I used to do the same thing, right? I used to use a lot of soft brushes for everything. And I think using soft brushes and hard brushes, just the basic one, they do work and they do really help you at the beginning. What you have to add to your trick is just start adding texture brushes on your highlights only. It's pretty much what I'm doing right here. And if you do this, you're not going to break your form. You'll be adding just a few details on the surface at the right places, because really details are only seen where light is. Shadows usually, if you look at my beard, for example, here, like you do see some details, but the contrast of the details, it's a lot more evident in the light. So that's a trick that lots of artists are doing. You forget about details in the shadow. Like I would not put details here, and I'm going to put details within the line, within the light, not the line, within the light. So use your texture brushes for this, and that should really help you. So yeah, we're still working on that nose for now. I'm gonna try to not just go too much in details, because I'll have maybe like an hour and a half with you guys, and I want to show you as much as possible. So yeah, let me just keep it this way. So yeah, just being careful. Like I'm looking at like the cheekbone here, for example. There's definitely like a whoops. Am I painting in the right place? Yeah, I guess it's just not enough. It's already darker here. That's why. I'm just gonna go with a little bit darker here. Well, actually, I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use that and make it paler on its own layer. So I'm gonna use a new layer here. I'm gonna paint the shape. So that's the good example I was talking about. Like when do you use like hard edge versus soft edge? I'm using a hard edge here to get that shape way darker than it should be. And then I can either put the opacity lower because I'm on my new layer. I can also use my soft round brush and delete a few parts. And once I have like a good shade that I have, I can just pick it up on a new layer and kind of continuing designing with this one. And I could add, I'll add some more details later on, but yeah, that's good for now. Jason, you are welcome. And you are welcome as well, Kathleen. So, taking my time here, trying to observe as much as possible. Angela says, will you be posting this video after? Probably yes. So probably it's going to stay on the same link. Right now, what I wanted to do is just to have everybody that's in the Discord server can join live, but I'll try to just post it as a regular video afterwards. So yeah, just adding a few details. I don't want to add too much. Sometimes adding too much is just counterproductive. So I'm very like selective of the details that I'm adding here and there. Yeah, I think the nose will have some more work later. Some soften up the edges, for example, and yeah, using that texture brush here to kind of soften the edges. And using a texture brush, the one thing that's like harder, obviously, is just like you don't want to have too much of that texture, because it's just going to look wrong. You want to have like almost like a gradient with that texture. And that comes with dexterity, learning how to use your brushes, taking your time, a little bit of time basically. Because like, for example, this transition of the nostril that I'm painting here, like right now it's too soft. I'm trying to find the balance between something that's soft and gives me the volume that I need and gives me some hard edges to create some contrast kind of thing. I'll take all of those things here and just kind of opening up and down, seeing where I am. Angela, you are welcome. Adding a new layer. The shape of my nostril is wrong, but then again, I kind of like it. You know, when you're doing a portrait, you don't have to be like exactly the same. I'm gonna try still to just like bring it closer to what it's supposed to be, but it doesn't have to be perfect. So where was I with this? Like I'm trying to push it just a little bit more. First of all, I think my highlights is at the wrong place completely, which should help. Here, I'm gonna add some of that value here. Zooming out a little bit helps you also to just visualize where you are with it all. And I think that my highlight should be a little bit more here. And I'll go pure white in the middle. I think that's better. All right. Without going too much detail, I'm going to add a new layer. I'm going to start adding just some highlight to the right places. So you have like the highlights of the glasses that are going to be here-ish. I might use just a normal hard edge brush for this. Photoshop hard edge brush. Because I want to be precise with this one. Kind of had that from thin to thick transition here. I'll do the same thing kind of here. But before that, I might just, yeah, I'm going to take the shape. I already keep my shape here for my glasses. Obviously the glasses have like lots of like reflection and everything, so it becomes like just a little bit more difficult. So what I'll do is just I'm going to select the selection that I have here, and I'll deselect the brush. There you go. So just having the perfect selection here. So here I can just kind of take my time and just see there's some reflection of the skin, there's the blue of the sky, there's a lot of things happening here. So I might just use a saffron brush right now, just kind of add this, kind of goes like darker than this. Then there's like a little bit of that reflection of that skin that comes here as well. It's kind of a mix of everything. Then there's like some bluer, like there's like the cast shadow here that I miss. I'll go back with something darker here. There's like the cast shadow of that little thing here, right there. And then you have a little bit of pale blue happening here. And then I'll take the saffron brush again and kind of add that purple darkish color. So that looks a little bit closer already. And on top of that, I'll just deselect this, use this brush, and add some highlights that are more yellow and more bright. Like I didn't do like the glasses exactly like they were supposed to be, so it's not exactly the same, but still can add some highlight here. When you do highlights of metal, it's good to have like many colors. Like in this case, I'm going to add some yellow first, and then I'm going to go to like some white, because there's definitely some pure white into that reflection. It's a little bit better. And then I think there's also like that deep red kind of cast shadowy reflection that comes kind of here. So just adding that contrast here can help. I'll just keep that. I won't do the exact same shape, but yeah, that's good. And I'm probably very terrible when it comes to like adding some perfect circles and stuff. So when it comes to this, I'm gonna try a few lines, and usually if my wrist is not added that day, then I'm just gonna do it with like a perfect circle and place it with the computer. But this is working so far, so I might just keep it by hand, just turning it up and stuff. But those are the details that usually take like a lot of time. And yeah, I'm just making sure I'm on my own layer. Yeah, making sure I'm on my own layer, because there's gonna be like reflection on the side of those glasses. You can see. I could also probably just try this and see if that's working. That's kind of working. I usually don't use the smoothing because it kind of kills the natural gesture of your movement. But maybe this is working for now. A little highlight right there. And I'll try to just do the same here. I mean, the natural curve of my wrist in the right angle. As you can see, those are the things that they're just hard for everybody, really. There's some people they're just like magician. They're able to just do like perfect circle and go super smoothly with their lines. But it's unfortunately not a trick that can be thought. It's more like something that there's no trick to it. That's what I'm trying to say. It's just a question of a lot of practice, really, and having like just that smooth gesture. So anyway, so right now, adding a little bit of details here. I'm going to go back to a smoothing of 15% for me. That works well. And I'm just going to add that, highlight here now. It was there earlier, kind of thing. Once again, if you're catching this up, and you want to add any question, please go ahead. I'll be with you guys for maybe another, I don't know, 20 minutes. And after that, I'll just finish the illustration to post it later on. So if you have any question about anything, please shoot it up. And let me know if you like those little paint and chill sessions. I might do some more in the near future. I'll just try to add all the contrast that those glasses have. They have like pieces of like reflection, because metal, what it is, basically it's like a mirror, right? And what it does, it reflects what's all around. So you have all those little like difference in the values that are very like abrupt, and those are just like pure reflection, like a mirror of the surrounding. So sometimes you can just add like a few lines here and there, and kind of looks like natural, like a little bit like what I'm doing right now. That's kind of fun. I don't want to have something completely like realistic. Just looking almost the same is going to do. Adding that here. That's pretty good already. I might just add like a few lines here and there. And pretty much it. Looking at the reflections, there is another one here. Something like that. That's pretty good. So yeah, let me know if you have any question on this. And I'll do the other glasses later. I'll try to just show you guys a little bit more stuff. So at this point, there's still a few lines that I want to make disappear. I'm going to create a new layer. And what I like to do is use the smudge tool for this. It's a smudge tool that I've created for blending only. And so I can go over like each line and kind of make them disappear. I'm going to go back with my texture brush as well and kind of add the right values at some places. Like here could add like a little bit more value here and there. Well, thank you, Lena. Well, as you can see, I hope I make you understand it's not magic. It's a question of just like, it's just knowing the techniques, really. I'll just push this just a little bit more. And yeah, probably I could add like a cast shadow. Like I feel like the shape is not exactly there, but that's okay because I'm planning on using this as an avatar, so it's not going to be like gigantic. That's one thing also that I see a lot, me included, a lot of us just making the mistake of, and it's adding details where not needed. Like this is a portrait, obviously, but I'm gonna probably put this portrait as an avatar in a few places, and it's gonna be about that big. And so the details don't need to be like micro precise to have like a good read of the image. Sometimes just adding a few texture, and if you look like if you get inspired a little bit from like traditional medium, you'll see that it's pretty rare that they go like into micro details. Like they use just the right amount of hard edge at the right places to describe the form without having to go macro. But because we're working on a digital medium and we're able to like zoom in as much as we want, we get to put like more details, but sometimes it's not necessary. Sometimes. I'll go and add just a, I'm gonna add a mask on my lines here, just kind of delete this one here. I'm painting it with a mask here. Jason says, when painting, especially for guys, I feel they are too pinky, like if it has some lipstick on it. Well, in my case, I got very, this is depending on everybody. In my case, I have actually very red lips. I think everybody has different colors. It's true that, you know, it could look like lipstick sometimes on a guy, like a little bit like on this one, for example. But I think this is like, depends on every kind of person, really. But why not lipstick on a guy? Who cares, right? So the thinking is just try to observe the reference picture and try to be as accurate as possible. So I'll just add, I'm trying to just adding like, because I'm going to finish that over the camera later on, but if I can show you guys a few more tricks in this video, it could be cool. Here, I'm going to add some more details for the glasses, for example. See, there's like a little bit like of a darker, I'll make sure to get on top layer here. There's like a darker like shadow, that's not a shadow, it's like a harder edge to the glasses right here, which kind of helps establishing them. There's like a bit of that color here, because there's a spring. Then I can just like kind of this, and that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, you know, I don't need to do much more than this. I can add a little bit more of a brighter highlight at the right places to make it like more shiny. But you see how this is rough as a detail, but when you zoom out, it looks good. So you don't have to go like too detailed and still have something very nice. Seems like that should be black, so I'm gonna put that black for now. And make it disappear behind the ear. Yes, Hina, don't worry. The video will be on YouTube afterwards. But I won't be finished the images, so I'll try to just push it as much as I can right now. There is another trick I can give you here. That trick I would probably do later on. Right now, I still have to finish the other lens, put a lot more details and a lot, but this is all time that is just like looking and trying to fix things. But one thing here that's going to make a huge difference, going to help with the realism of it, is to add, I'm going to take the selection here, is to add the reflection of the blue. So there's the blue of the sky that bounced back on my neck here, on my jaw, and I can definitely add that here. I'm going to use that with like a soft round brush, something soft here. I'm going to take the blue of the sky here, and I'm just going to add just a little bit of that blue right here. Now it's going over everything. I don't want it over everything. I'm going to use a soft round brush eraser and kind of delete what's at the places that I don't want it. I just want like a little bit on the neck kind of thing. And I could, just because it's like a stylized portrait, just add a harder edge. Here the transition is a lot more soft. I could add just like a, yeah, just like a harder edge to it. I'm gonna make sure that my kind of cast shadow here is not touched by that. There's also like the cast shadow here, I think, that needs to be added over the neck. It's going to help later on. Adding that, but just having like that color here, and once you have that color that works, then you can go and maybe add with a little bit more texture. I'm going to pick up directly that color, and I could kind of start adding that just a few more places. Like if it's almost like a bounce color, but in this case it's the sky. It kind of just go over things, having like a little bit more of that realism, helping the colors and lighting. It's gonna make just the character just fit in the environment a lot more, kind of thing. Here I could add just a little bit more of a harder edge with a darker value just to help the contrasts of the character. So sometimes you have to just push a little bit more what you're seeing. You see that it's almost that, but it's not quite that. But I'm going to push it a little bit more here to just add more contrast. And that's going to help. Same thing here, for example. I can just start adding just a little bit more contrast at a few places. Sometimes you don't want to have lines, but at the same time, you can just push things a little bit more to add some contrast and help reading certain places of this portrait, like the ear, for example, so forth and so on. Trying to see what I can add for the next 15 minutes. I'm going to make a huge difference. I guess I can show just a little bit how I would add the details for the beard. The beard, I like to do it as like pieces. Like I was saying, this illustration is going to be like from further away. So adding small hair, it's not necessary. People won't see it. What could be necessary is just to kind of imagine like locks of hair. So instead of like here, it's like lots of details, right? So I need to kind of design pieces that go together. And that's going to take me a little bit of time. It's like trying to, all right, so I'm going to have like maybe a piece there, another piece there, and try to like maybe that goes in the shadow here. Maybe there's another highlight here. Because that's going to be readable from a further away kind of thing. And it's not purely realistic. It's a little bit more stylistic. But that's going to be better from a distance, I think. So same thing here. Just adding like some shape to it can be interesting. I think for the mustache, it's definitely the place I'm going to add like a little bit more. There's a little bit more like skin here. It's supposed to be visible. I might just, yeah, make that mustache come here like this. Yeah. Also, the movement of the beard is important. So if you look at my beard here, I'll take a color you guys can't see, but it kind of does this here, and it does that here, and this one kind of does that, and so and here it does that, and so to amplify those movement on the design of those shapes is also going to help a lot. So in this case, I can just come here and just have the darker part and the lighter part come in this kind of shape here. You can zoom in and zoom out, see what it does, and then just design them in a way that, yeah, that kind of gives the illusion that there is some hair, but not the micro detail here, because we don't need it here. And I could definitely add also more color, I guess, to it, but for now I'm still happy with it, so it's going to keep it as is. I might just push some of the detail here. Adding this, maybe just adding that. Like you see, like this is very like texturized at this point. Just by zooming in, zooming out, I can see if like it still makes sense. So hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if it makes sense in the chat. Yeah, if you have any question, also this is the time, like I was saying, I'll have to jump on to some other task for today. So if you have any question, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll be able to, yeah, to place this illustration on the YouTube for you two guys to see the replay of this. But if you have any question, yeah, please shoot it. I'll be there for the next few minutes. I'm looking for my mixer brush tool here that I really like. It's a mixer brush tool that kind of mixes the things like this. It helps with like just having like some smoother transitions when you have like hair, especially. Really helps to just kind of mix the values together. I recently did a YouTube video where I talk about how to make things a little bit more texturized, and one of them is to use the mixer brush tool, definitely. You're welcome, Alina. Adding some few more highlights at a few places. Sometimes you just want to boost them just to add some more contrast. Like the lip, for example, I could go like pure white and kind of adding just a few more highlights there and there. Bika says, thanks. You're welcome. I'll be posting my mugshot today. I know I'm late, but my first time doing a portrait since college. Well, congratulations. This is awesome. Really, I'm looking forward to see it. So yeah, no stress. I will have to stick to my guns by giving the prize to people that finished on time, but we're all learning here, and it's going to be a lot more challenges, so don't worry about it. Take your time. Looking forward to see the finished version. You guys are all welcome, really. I'm having fun. If you guys like this, like I was saying, I'll try to do some more. There's so different style. It can be like also thought, and like I love to just have fun and just paint for the sake of painting. So it's fun to just be here online with you guys and kind of just paint and not worry. So yeah. Plus, if I can teach something while I'm doing it, then it's even better. I might just add some highlights here. You see, adding those little touch here in the shadow, super cool because it's going to add some volume, and I don't have to go into details. Just adding those little things, it makes the hair look more voluminous. So that's super interesting as well. And yeah, I might push the beard later on. For now, I'm just gonna kind of push the same values that I've been doing here so far without going too much into details. Love being part of the Painting Academy. You're absolutely welcome. Seriously, I'm so happy that both people are in the community and both people are part of the Academy. The Academy is, for those people that are watching right now that don't know what it is where I place all my premium tutorials. So yeah, I'm glad that you are part of it. There is more to come very soon. I'm going to have a whole module on lighting. It's been a while that I've been working on it, but it's because I've been working also on new changes for the Academy. We're going to have a new design coming up soon. I'll put you all the details soon, but we're going to have a new website design that's going to come very soon. For all the Academy members, we're going to have a new reward system that I'm super excited to show you guys. So yeah, lots of great stuff happening very soon in the Academy. Kingu says, I like these session. I'm painting too, so it's since it's a background. That's great. It's exactly what I wanted to when I was saying like paint and chill. If you guys want to paint at the same time as me, then it's kind of perfect. I didn't do Twitch, but maybe it's something that at some point I'll touch. But for now, I think YouTube lives kind of work, so that's kind of cool. So you see, when I'm zooming out, it still holds, so it's kind of perfect right now. I really like it. So yeah, I might just push this with a texture brush here to have like that transition with a texture brush kind of thing. That's pretty cool too. Making a smoother transition maybe could work better. Some trial and error, maybe adding some of that light here, catching that muscle here, having a little bit more of a dark, like a darker red here for the Adam's apple kind of thing. There's a little bit more of a darker here. There's all sorts of like cast shadow here that I missed that I need to add, that I will add on a second round. Here's a trick also. When you do cast shadow, start with a color that's like saturated, like this one. And then you can add later on inside that shape the occlusion shadow and the black of it. So yeah. Don't worry, Parker. The replay is going to be on YouTube as soon as I finish, and I'm about to finish, so you'll be able to see the hour and 15 minutes that we spent together. And actually, that's going to be it. I need to go have lunch, and yeah, I'm going to push this illustration, so you'll see the final version of it. But I'm hoping that all the tricks that I was able to show you guys today was helpful. Let me know in the comment of YouTube if you liked it, if you're looking at the replay. And so yeah, and thank you for being part of this community. Really enjoying the new Discord, really having a ton of fun being with you guys in there. So have a good rest of the day, depending where you are in the world. I thank you so much for joining in. And yeah, we'll do some more of those. It was really, really fun. Have a good day, guys.